Good afternoon, everyone. Anthony Lamacchia here, broker owner of Lamacchia Realty, and I am here to provide you with a real estate update. I apologize that we're 2 minutes late. We had a little technical glitch. I want to share a lot of different things with you today. I want to talk to you about the market in three places, really: Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and also Southern Florida. I'm going to do towards the end of the segment. And I was just looking over data, and today we actually did some comparisons. We took a look at, will we catch up by the end of the year with total home sales? I had said in the summer that it wouldn't happen. It was too deep of a hole, but we ended up with a lot more sales than I expected. I knew it would be busy. I had predicted it would be busy, but it actually exceeded my expectations. So part of what I'm going to go over today is looking at some of those numbers and seeing if we will be able to make up the ground and end up ahead of last year. This has been by far and away the busiest fall I've ever seen, which is a good thing. We're all excited about that. In the last, I would say, month, about a week before the election, we noticed things started to slow down a little. But when I say slow down a little, I'm not talking about a slow market. I mean from an absolute crazed frenzy with people just fighting over homes and arguing about all kinds of things and trying to land properties to just a busy market. Buyers are still competing for properties, and we're still seeing multiple offer situations in large numbers. I mean, normally at this time of year, you see one here or there, but you don't see very many of them. Now we're seeing them quite often, and buyers are still getting frustrated. Buyers agents, this isn't easy on realtors either. The majority of the audience watching today is buyers and sellers, and I want you to know that this isn't easy on realtors. It's very stressful for them as well to deal with this kind of situation. So as I said, for the time of year, still busier than normal, but it has gotten a little bit more manageable. If your listing is priced right, or honestly even within 5% of being priced right, it's selling, and it's selling quickly. Some exceptions to that rule would be multifamily properties closer to Boston, multifamilies in the real downtown Worcester area, or some of the more city areas. When I talk about New Hampshire, Manchester, Nashua, if you're really in the city where people are living closer, that's where we're seeing it be a little bit slower. Single families, the absolute craziness still continues. People are after single families big time. So wanted to talk to you about all of that. What I'm going to do is do a Massachusetts review, as I always do, but I also want to take you through the October housing report, which I found interesting. Prices were up 14% in October in Massachusetts compared to the prior October. Now, does that actually mean that year over year prices have gone up 14% everywhere? Not necessarily. This is 1 month compared to another month. Now, keep in mind, normally the way the housing market flows, it's very busy late winter, spring, and then the closings, droves and droves of homes close late May, June, July, August, and then it starts to taper down. Well, this year, late May, June didn't happen. That got pushed forward, and it turned into more July, August, September, October. That's part of the reason. So don't be completely fooled by that. What I want to do is just show you a couple of reports with respect to October. And then let's see here. I'm going to jump into the Massachusetts housing review. You know what? I'm on the Massachusetts review right now. Let me review that with you for a few minutes just so that we can see what's going on out there. Now, if you look, once again, as I've explained in other months, I'm actually going to change this to be full screen for a few minutes so you all can really zoom in well. There you go. So if you take a good look at this, you can see it's very clear what happened when COVID struck and got all of our attention in mid-March. Homes listed, that's what we're looking at here, fell off. People were just like, I'm not having anybody in my home. So that fell off, but then it recovered. It recovered as we get into June, and then there was a trough there by July 4th. More homes listed per week throughout the summer, generally speaking, than the years prior. Labor Day, a little slowdown, but look at fall. Just about every single week this fall, more homes were listed than the prior year. Is it enough to make up for these weeks right here back in March and April where there was 1,000 or 1,500 homes per week less listed than the year before? I still don't think so, but I'll tell you, it's impressing me. It's coming back strong. Now, Take a look at this. This is homes that are actually for sale every single Saturday, singles, multis, condos in the MLS. This is a snapshot in time. Every Saturday back 4 years. Obviously, orange is this year. Look at this, 10,549 homes for sale 2 days ago compared to, let's go to 2019. If we go right up here on this line, straight across, there was about 16,000 homes for sale last year at this time. Now notice what's happening. This kind of bell curve, I guess you could call it, this decrease in homes for sale, very normal. Remember when I saw you all in late October, I said, hey, this is inventory is going to stay up here for another week or two, and then it starts dwindling. Why? Some homes sell, many homes sell. People that want to buy before the end of the year say, well, if I'm going to buy this year, I need to buy now. And we tend to see that. There's also people that say, forget it, I'll list after the holidays. There have also been people that, frankly, paused because of the election, which always fascinates me, but it happens every time. Every 4 years we see this where people, well, if this person wins, that's going to happen. If that person wins, that's going to happen. And we start to see all these people that predict everything. And then usually in the weeks following the election, people start to go back to normal. I don't think we're quite there yet because it hasn't been a completely normal election season, but we're almost there. So 10,500 homes for sale, but think about that difference from 16,000 a year ago. That is considerable. It's still around, what, 40-ish%. Now we look at homes pending per week. Again, it trails homes listed. Way down in the spring, then it went across all the way across summer. More homes each and every week were pending. That's a lot of homes every week consistently. This past week, 1,933 homes pending. Last year, same week, probably more like 1,800. So it's higher than last week the whole year. Well, higher than last year on the same week, I meant to say. Now, if you take a look at homes sold per week right here, again, homes sold is pretty much higher than the year before each and every week. There's some flows up and down. We all know the end of the month, there's more homes that close, but that's been a lot. Then we get down here. This report is very, very intriguing to me. And right when we were in about June and July, I knew things were going to come back with a vengeance because look at that, 25% of the homes that were for sale in early July, late June went under contract. That's never happened. Look over here. This past week, 18% of the homes that are for sale went under contract. Well, last year at this time, 11%. That's considerable. That's a considerable amount of homes being eaten up. And I've talked to you all before about what I refer to as the Pac-Man effect. As homes are being listed, they're being eaten up pretty much just as fast, right? The homes come on the market and then they get eaten up. That's what we're seeing. And that's one of the reasons that inventory has been on the low side. So let me jump back into that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you down to the end here. Take a look at this in the spring. And I know I sound like a wise guy saying I told you so, but I will tell you, when I came out with that blog in the spring that said this is not 2008, and I specifically said home prices will not collapse. They will not. Inventory is too low. The pandemic itself will stop a collapse. I got some criticism for it. There were people in the industry, outside of the industry, that said I was crazy. Not everybody. People that knew what they were talking about agreed with me. But even my own dad said, Anthony, I read the Wall Street Journal every day. How could the Wall Street Journal be saying that home prices are going to collapse and you're not? I said, because the Wall Street Journal doesn't know what they're talking about, right? All I focus on is inventory. And at that time I had said I was concerned about commercial and I was concerned about multifamilies. I feel the same way right now. Look at this. According to MLS, average home price, or this says Warren Group, but one and the same, the prices are close enough. Average sale price in Massachusetts, $522,000 in October. The highest average sale price for homes sold in Massachusetts ever. This is 7 months after the pandemic struck. So will prices fall? Will there be a foreclosure crisis? Will there be a short sale crisis? No, there will not be. Might there be some in the multifamily space? Yes, I think there's going to be some pain in the multifamily space. I think that there'll be a little bit of pain in the condo space, and I'm hearing that. I spoke to someone in Seattle the other day who said downtown Seattle, they can't give condos away. Okay, Boston, you can give condos away. People are buying them. It's just a lot slower. Why? People are avoiding densely populated areas. Why in Seattle? Is it substantially worse? Well, they're dealing with social unrest at a much higher level, and that's scaring people away from cities, just like New York, just like Chicago, other places. Fortunately, in Boston, it hasn't been as bad, fortunately. So that is a breakdown of Massachusetts. Now what I want to do while we're on Massachusetts is I want to talk to you about, do I think we will make up ground? So take a look at this. Look at these numbers. This is January 1st to November 15th, 2019. So last year, call it 101,000 homes were listed for sale in that time frame on MLS PIN. Now that's just so you all know, that doesn't include Cape MLS, it doesn't include Western Mass, but MLS PIN has like 90-something% market share. It's the majority of the state, okay? 101,000 homes listed for sale last year between that 11.5-month period. This year, 93,000. That's a 7% reduction in homes listed due to, clearly, the pandemic, right? Right here, 7.4%. Clearly because of COVID. Well, folks, back in the spring, I'll be honest, I would not have bet that we would have caught up that well. I knew we would catch up and make up a lot of ground, but that is substantial. Now look at homes pending, only down 1%. This is fascinating. So 7.5% less housing stock being listed, but the amount of homes that have gone pending is only down 1%. Why? Again, the Pac-Man effect. The homes are being eaten up substantially. Now you look at homes sold, down 4%. 68,000 homes sold compared to 71,000 last year. Now, again, this is only 11, it's really not 11.5 months, it's 10.5 months. I'm sorry I said 11. 10.5 months. So that gives us a month and a half left. Do I think that we will end up with homes sold being above where they were in 2019? The answer is no. I think that we are going to end up slightly below last year. So that is my prediction. I will go over this with all of you and perhaps edit my prediction in December at company update, at updates that we're going to have with all of you, public updates, I should say, not company, on December 21st at 3 p.m. That'll be the next time that I put on an update like this. However, it's going to be close. The gap is narrowing. So right now we're down 4% with total amount of homes sold. 2 months ago, we were probably down 7 or 8%. I think we might come within 1%, 1.5% of less homes being sold in Massachusetts than last year, than 2019. Now, we know what the newspapers will say. Home sales down in Massachusetts, the market's crashing. Is this the beginning of the end? Won't happen. I see that fake imitation I just did for you all. I did that for you all in March and April when I came out with a blog that said, this is not 2008 and here's why. And our marketing folks are going to post that blog in the comments for those of you that want to look back at it. So I feel good about it. There's a lot of demand out there. There's excessive demand on single families. There's less demand on condos, particularly in the cities. But the demand is there. It's just a lot smaller. Once we can get past this pandemic, they're talking about all these vaccines every day. AstraZeneca came out this morning. Their vaccine is 90% effective. Last week it was Pfizer. The week before it was Moderna. They're also talking about this other drug that is a therapeutic. It's happening, folks. We've got 90 days to go and things are going to get a lot better. And then, probably 6 or 8 months till we're totally out of it. But clearly, when we can get about 90 days out, things are going to be looking better. So let's take a look at New Hampshire. And I'll tell you my thoughts up there. Awesome market. We've been up there for 10 years. I want everybody to see where I go here to find this. I'm going to go right here, COVID-19 real estate, clicking on New Hampshire. Just want to make sure you all can see this well. Okay, beautiful. And I'm going to scroll down. Now, New Hampshire MLS doesn't have as much data, but I'm going to go through it anyway. I'm going to go through what we have. Again, that trough, and then it's pretty much been up since, okay? 409 homes listed for sale last week in New Hampshire. Now, this is Lakes region. This is up north. This is southern New Hampshire, okay? Last year, same week, about 380 homes, 360 homes listed for sale. So we're still making up ground. Now look at homes pending. Look at how many weeks, okay? Look at how many weeks there were more homes pending than the weeks prior. Now, all of a sudden here in late November, it's a little slower. I don't think there's anything to that. I think it's probably a fluke, just a fluky week. I will tell you that the election has caused some people to pause, but that won't last. Now, when I look at homes sold per week, look how many weeks we were up here in 2020, okay? So it's happening. New Hampshire never did get quite as bad as Massachusetts, being closer to a city. New Hampshire also, they went into a shutdown, but it was later than us. It wasn't as deep as us, and it just wasn't as bad. Take a look at home prices in New Hampshire. Substantial increase since the beginning of the year. This is July 2019, okay? This is home prices just over 300. Look at May 2020. Prices close to 400,000. It's been a substantial increase, okay? So I don't have the numbers as hard and fast and exact as I do Massachusetts, because the reporting's not the same. But I can tell you that in New Hampshire, I'm going to bet that homes sold surpass last year. Now, you might be saying, well, why does he think that Massachusetts would surpass last year? Well, I'm sorry, Massachusetts will fall short. 2020 home sales in Massachusetts, in my opinion, will fall slightly short of 2019. In New Hampshire, I think they're going to be more. Here's why. People ran to destinations. They ran to places that they could go and have some fun. We saw an increase in home purchases in the Lakes region. We saw an increase up in ski country. We've helped a number of people up in those areas, the Lakes region and in ski country, buy second homes. And it's funny, a lot of people bought them as second homes, but they're spending considerably more time up there. We actually have seen clients move up there for a year or two. So they tell us it's a year or two to get their children in school. So New Hampshire home sales, in my opinion, will be up over 2019. Massachusetts will be slightly down. Now, all of these predictions are predicated on this. Us not going into some massive shutdown and COVID not getting dramatically worse and hospitals getting overrun. If that were to happen, which I don't think will happen, but if it were to happen, then things will change. It'll get considerably slower at the end of the year. I think that we'll see some people back out on purchases, and that will hit home sales. But I don't think that will happen. I will remind you all, because I know there's a lot of buyers listening right now, and a lot of buyers that will see this later. There were buyers that backed out of purchases right when we went into the shutdown, and the news is yelling, the economy is going to crash, housing is going to crash. We had about 25 buyers, which I suppose isn't so bad considering we had about 400 transactions under contract. But we had about 25 buyers who bailed out on deals, said, I'm out. You want to keep my deposit, keep it. I'm out. Of the 25, about 15 came back within a month to buy, okay? If we go into that sort of shutdown, don't follow the fear, okay? What does Warren Buffett say? When everyone else is being greedy, be scared. When everyone else is scared, be greedy. Go against the grain, okay? Think about that. If we do end up in that situation, keep that in mind, because if you don't, you could end up like a lot of people that backed out of a home purchase on March 15th or March 20th and then ended up paying $50,000 more for a similar home in June. We saw that with people, and we don't want that to happen. Some of the other things that are affecting the market and that I do think will impact closings come December is there's a lot of activity, a lot of refinance activity, and appraisers just can't keep up. Because appraisers can't keep up, we're seeing, and it's not just appraisers, we're talking mortgage companies, attorneys, title examiners. The whole system is log jammed, and we wrote a blog on that right after COVID started, and we had said that there would be a log jam in the system. Well, it has happened. It ended up starting a little later than I expected, but it happened. Now, because of that, we're seeing closings get delayed. So we're seeing a higher percentage of closings get delayed this entire year than we've seen in years past. Normally, just to give some statistical analysis to the buyers and sellers watching, normally about 13% of closings get extended, get delayed. We're noticing it's about 20 or 22% this year. So that's part of the reason. So if you're a buyer or a seller, make sure you get your mortgage broker, make sure you get your attorneys, everything they need whenever they need it, because they're under the gun to try to get deals closed. Now what I want to do is talk a bit about Florida, and then I'm going to get into 2021 predictions. Okay, I had a budget meeting this morning with our Vice President of Finance, and we talked about budgeting for the year. And I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes on what we talked about in our budget planning for 2021. One second, I'm just finding an email that I want to show to you from Florida. This is let's see if I can pull this off without Lindsay's assistance. I want to show you an email that we get from, okay, I think I pulled it off. There we go. Lindsay's giving me a thumbs up. I'm going to share the entire screen. And for those of you that are in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, don't go running away because I'm showing you South Florida. We recently opened in South Florida, and that's the reason that I want to talk about it for a few minutes. But this shows you what's going on with the economy. This shows you a glimpse at why and how vacation areas, vacation destinations are booming. Okay, take a look at something here. Single family homes closed sales 2020, 1,656. Okay, so this is just in the month of October. Okay, home prices up 23%. Remember 20 minutes ago I said that Massachusetts prices were up 14%. Single families are up even more. Look at Florida, 23%. I bet if I measured only single families in Massachusetts, they're up the same. That's interesting to me. Median sale price up 14%. Days on market, days to contract, less than half, 22 days until something goes under agreement. Look at this data. Month supply of inventory, 2.5 months supply of inventory. For those of you that need a refresher on that, that's the amount of homes that are for sale, and you divide out the amount of homes that are going under contract per month. Okay? How many months would it take to eat up the rest if nothing else was listed? That's what that data is. Now, look at condos and townhouses. Very eerily similar. Prices are up, okay? I shouldn't say similar. What I meant is similar to singles. Why? Because they're on the beach, they're in a destination. Massachusetts condominiums and townhouses are not up 23% in any month this year. Well, maybe January or February before the pandemic hit, but certainly not since then. Why is it more down there? Because that's a destination. That's a vacation destination. People love Florida. I love Florida. I'm going there next week. Can't wait to spend a couple days there. You see here, closed sales are up, prices are up. Median price up. Original, that's not too telling. But here's what I found interesting. Contrary to some of the above data, the month supply is higher. What does that tell me? Now, this is just Broward County, by the way. This tells me that more people are listing as of late, and that's why the month supply has gone up. Palm County, I'm not going to go through every county, but look at this. Closed sales up 32%. Okay? Prices up 17. I do want to peek. I think Miami data is in here. Here it is. So we're noticing something. I was just connecting with some of our agents down there, Mark Martin, Amy Valtunas, Lisa Jones, and they were saying that it's extremely busy. There's a tremendous amount of demand. There's a tremendous amount of people flying in and seeing properties on weekends. Even rentals have multiple offer situations right now. But something interesting is going on in Miami. Miami is owned, has a high ownership rate of foreign investors and foreign owners. Many of them seem to be selling properties. So in Broward, like Fort Lauderdale, we're not seeing really any exodus with condos. We are seeing it more in Miami. So that's something that's pretty new. We'll keep you posted on what we think is going on there. But I wanted to touch on that because that's some interesting information that we will have more data on come December. Now, let's talk predictions. I'm obviously going to have, Mark just pointed out over 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. Mark, I think that 1,000 has actually increased. We've seen an increase in the amount of people. What we're finding is people that want to move down south have sped up their plan. Just like how we saw people leave Boston sooner. I had explained to you all back in the beginning, well, probably in the summer. I don't want to say the beginning. But people were like, it's an exodus in Boston. I spoke to a New York Times reporter last week for about 15 minutes, nice guy. And he had a lot of good questions. And he says, do you believe that cities are dead? Do you believe that people are just going to exit cities forever? I said, absolutely not. Not going to happen. Yeah, but people are working remotely now. I said, look, yes. And we will see some more of this for the next few years. But is this going to be the next century? No, it's not. People love cities. People love being close to things. I still love the city. I love going into the city, right? So I want everyone to understand this is not forever. I'll tell you one thing. Condos in cities keep going down. There will be a buyer out there buying some. It's me, because I know how real estate works. Right now, we're in a time that people can live further away from where they work. That's not going to last forever. I think it will be allowed more. We're looking at it at our company. We're looking at having people do a certain amount of work from home forever. But are they never going to come to the office? Absolutely not. We're not going to do that. So think about that. Have that in mind, because that's playing a part here. Now, when I talk about 2021, I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at mine and Sarah Chason's meeting this morning. One of the things that we discussed is how we expect our company to have a large amount of growth next year, just like we did this year, despite the pandemic. But we talked about how we expect the growth to be more moderate in the first quarter and then to go berserk second quarter on. Why is that? That's because we're on third base, my friends. We're in the home stretch of getting on the other side of this pandemic. Is it going to be solved? Every time I say this, I get emails from people and people say, you don't understand pandemics. Okay, maybe it'll last another year. I get it. But what I'm saying is, with each day that goes by, they're learning about the sickness more and more. They're saving more people. People are becoming less scared of it. People are adapting to it better. I mean, wearing a mask is starting to feel normal. I can't even believe it. So as we get through winter and they come out with vaccines and they give it to first responders and they give it to elderly people, little by little, the population as a whole is going to feel better. Now, one of the largest parts of our population that we saw considerably slower this year, and it's part of the contributing reason that there is so many less homes for sale, is what we call downsizers, okay? People that have lived in their home 30, 40 years and they've said, time to sell the big home, we want to move to something smaller. Well, just so you all know, and I'm sure some of you are these people and you're listening, you are the ultimate procrastinators. Those type of sellers, that segment, remember, there's all kinds of sellers. There's sellers that buy first-time buyer homes, and then they stay 2 or 3 years, then they sell those, and they buy the move-up property. That's the one I'm talking about. The move-up people that own the larger homes, they sell, and they downsize to something smaller. This is how the market flows. Well, those people stayed off the market in larger amounts. They delayed selling even more than the everyday seller selling a single-family ranch or a typical first-time buyer type home. The people with the larger homes, they put off selling even more. As those people, a lot of them are 60 or older. They're talking about, I believe they're saying they're going to give the vaccine to those 65 and older. Once people get a vaccine, they wait a month or two, they feel good, they know that it's working, they're not going to be as scared to list their home. So what you're going to see is more of those people come on the market by spring. That's why what Sarah and I are expecting is, yes, because our company has grown, we'll have a larger first quarter. But we don't expect considerable market growth and the market to really roar until we get to about April. So home buyers, I hate to break it to you, I really do, but you're in for another 4 or 5 months of this being tougher to find a home. Now, don't completely freak out. No matter what I tell you, there will be buyers that take themselves out of the market, and that is a mistake. You have to be doing things when others aren't. There are a lot of buyers over the last 3 weeks and the next 6 weeks, not really the next 6, the next 3, that are going to say, I'll wait till after the holidays. Bad move, because that's what most buyers, or I don't want to say most, that's what a lot of buyers are doing, and that's when you need to be looking. Okay, now, remember I showed you before, I showed you the, let me jump in here for a second. I showed you the housing inventory and how it goes down at this time of year, okay? I also forgot to show you the October housing report, and I'm going to do that in a minute. So if we look at the way that inventory flows, I'm going to stay on buyers for a minute, and then I'm going to jump to sellers and explain why this applies to sellers. Whoops, wrong one. Hang on. One second here. Lindsay, I want to pull up the page that shows, let me see here, stop share. Okay, got it. I'm going to do it myself. I want to show you the way that inventory flows throughout the year. So hopefully everyone can see that. Okay, I'm going to give you a full screen one more time because I just want to talk about this. This is why buyers are crazy if they completely throw their hands up. I get it if you don't go out and see as many properties, but make sure you're looking, because there is less buyers out there, there's less competition. But as there's less competition, there's people taking their homes off the market. Those people taking their homes off the market, if you truly want to sell and you're taking your home off, you're making a mistake. Now, if you just don't care, or if maybe you didn't sell and you want to give it another try next year, fine. But if you truly want to sell, taking it off is a mistake. The serious sellers stay on, the serious buyers keep looking. Think about that. The serious sellers stay on the market. Those are the motivated sellers, often willing to negotiate and give in more before winter. The serious buyers are the buyers that stay in the market. So as inventory dwindles, do not throw your hands up and duck out of the market completely, because you could miss out on an opportunity. I will tell you, if you feel that it has been highly competitive over the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I have bad news for you, buyers. When you get to February and March, it's going to be worse, because droves of people come out then. Buyers always come out before sellers every single time, every year. Sellers don't listen when we tell them to list in the winter before everyone else does. Some listen, but most don't. That's why if you can try to strike on a home, if you're a buyer, on the next 4 to 6 weeks, it's a really good time. Then you get into spring, well, if you find the right home, you're going to go for it, but it is a tougher time. So let me jump to October for a minute. I want to show you guys a couple things, and then I will take some questions. I see we have a lot of viewers today. If you'd like to post your questions, go ahead and I will answer them in a minute. Now, Massachusetts home prices. This is showing up 22%. Do we have a mistake in our data? No, we don't. Here's what's going on. This data right here on our housing report is based on the Warren Group. That is total sold market statistics, not just the ones in MLS. That's 22%. So October was up at least 15%, upwards as much as 22 October compared to October. As far as homes sold, as far as homes sold. Average price up 14. I apologize, I just made a mistake. You guys get it. You can see it right in front of you on the screen. And you can see that the average prices were up 14%. That's why I had the 14 in my head. But look at that, 522,000. That's the highest average we've ever had. Pending home sales were up 11%. I already showed you all this data. So let's see, price changes were down. Think about that. That's a data point that I should mention. Price changes in October. Now, 2 biggest months of the year for price adjustments, May and October. Price changes were down 18%. Why? Buyer demand was up, inventory was down, people didn't need to adjust their prices as much. However, if you are someone who's having trouble selling, my friends, I know this is a downer to hear, but if you are a home seller and your home, certainly if your home is listed with Lamakia Realty, if your home is listed with Lamakia Realty with one of our agents who have more training, more marketing at their fingertips, more things at their disposal than anyone else, if your home's not selling, I'm sorry, but you likely need to make a price adjustment, and you should speak to your agent about that. I don't want to put myself completely in the middle because your circumstances may vary depending upon type of home, etc. But generally speaking, if you are a seller and you are listed with Lamakia Realty and your home is not selling in the last 6 or 8 weeks, you need to look at your price. You need to consider a price adjustment. If you're someone who's listed somewhere else, well, that's tough for me to say because I don't know what kind of marketing is being done, but oftentimes price has something to do with it. So Amy is saying this is exactly what she has to send to her buyers right now. Well, Amy, I'm glad you tuned in. I'm glad that helps. Lisa, you love the city and the beach. I actually love the beach more. Allison Kane. I saw Allison comment before. So Judy Patterson, very experienced realtor, knows the game very well. She's saying she's having lenders that are telling her 6 to 8 weeks to close. Well, that's true. We are running into that. And that's okay. If that's the case, then you tell people. But I'll tell you this, if you have a buyer, if you are a buyer who's looking to close before the end of the year, you need to get your mortgage broker and your attorney everything they ask for because it's tough out there right now. Amy Belchunas makes an interesting point about Florida here. People buying and never stepping foot in Florida just want to be here. So Amy did talk about that, how we are seeing people who are buying down there sight unseen, but also, and Mark mentioned this as well, people are going down there that never having been there and buying properties. So it just shows that people are accelerating their plans to buy in other markets, in markets where they can have a little bit of fun. Trisha Sullivan Cormier says, I'm basically describing her parents. Trisha, I don't know what I had said that caused you to say that. Probably buying in a destination. Rosie's up on the North Shore. I'm going to show your comment, Rosie. Rosie's up in our North Shore office and our New Beverly office, and she said every buyer getting beat out then was hoping it would collapse. That's right. And, you know, the thing about real estate, I've said this before and people laugh at me sometimes, real estate is simply about supply and demand, folks. If it was any more complicated that, I wouldn't be very good at it, okay? I'm not a very complicated person. I'm a very simple person. Supply and demand. That's how this business works. And that's the way it goes. Here's another one of our realtors who works in the Lakes region up in New Hampshire, Deb Siciliano, saying hello from the Lakes region. Hello, Deb. Happy to have you with us. Let's see here. We have new comments down the bottom. Okay, interesting. So Tricia says her parents bought a home on the lake in New Hampshire. We know this is going on. We've seen considerable uptick in our Lakes region business. Sasha Anastasio is one of our realtors up there, and she's handling a lot of clients that are coming out. Jack Attridge, great realtor on the North Shore. He says, surprising how each town, for the most part, mirrors the inventory curve of about half what it should be. 100% right, Jack. 2020 post May 15th, the year of the spring market. Mark is absolutely right. And Mark makes a point that I've made before. I've had people say to me, well, Anthony, you track the whole state. I like to look at specific town to town. I have news for you. Most towns are similar to the state. The only exception this year is Boston. Boston is hurting a bit, particularly the condos. We're seeing a bit of a hurt in condos. But again, don't take that as an extreme. You know, a newspaper writer could watch this and say, oh, Boston condos are going to crash. Anthony Lamacchia said, I did not say that. They've gone up every year for the last 10 years. This year, they're not going up. They might even go down 1%. Who knows? We'll find out soon. But we're not going to see a fall off. Lisa Jones down in Florida mentions how she's seen more virtual showings than regular showings right now, all sight unseen for Florida purchases. And this is amazing what's going on. And it just shows how we as a society adapted. We adapted the way we had to. Should a seller start selling price to match their appraisal price? Okay. So Raymond said, should a seller start the selling price to match the appraisal price? Well, I don't think you're going to run out and get an appraisal before you list your home, and you shouldn't. But when you talk to a realtor, let me tell you, I'll give you another look behind the curtain. We buy and sell. Many of you know about it, and some of you that are watching may have, you may be one of our clients, but we buy somewhere between 1 to 3 properties a month. It got a little slow when COVID was bad, but generally speaking, we buy 1 to 3 homes a month. We buy them through our Offer Now program. If you don't want to list your home, we'll buy it for cash and close it when you want to. My competitors say, well, the strings attached. Well, of course the strings attached, but for some people it makes sense to do it. And we buy about 1 to 3 homes a month, and those people are very happy. The reason I'm telling you about this, when we resell them, Mike McGrory, our Vice President of Property Acquisitions and Development, the way that he prices, when he looks at what he thinks a home is worth, and the realtor gives him a recommendation on what they think it's worth, Mike looks at it. And if they say, well, we think this home is worth $500 to $550, what most sellers do is say, list it at $570. We do the opposite. When we are told by our realtors that a home is worth $500 to $550, we price at $499. When you price just below what you think something is worth, you create a lot more demand on that property. You draw buyers in. When buyers look both ways and they know they're competing, okay? When the buyers know they're competing, they pay more. Okay, we live in a world where everybody wants what other people have, and everyone wants what they don't have. When the buyers know there's competition, they'll pay more. So if you look at our properties that we resell, most of them sell through multiple offers. People say, well, how do you do that? Well, we price on the low side. So if you're a seller watching, okay, be like me, be like Mike, right? No pun intended with the Michael Jordan reference. But we price on the low side of what we think the property is worth, because we know that that draws in considerably more buyers. When you do that, they compete, and in the end, the seller makes out and sells for more. Now, I have some more. Do I have more comments here? No. I think that's it. My friends, I will be back to you on Monday, December 21st at 3 p.m., right before Christmas, 4 days before. I'm going to come on here. I will do another complete update with you. I'll be able to tell you very closely what I think is going to happen with the market for the year. I'll roll out my predictions for 2020 then. Every year I write predictions. This year, I'm going to have them out most likely by then. At the worst case, it would be a week later, but I will go over them at least roughly on that date. So mark your calendar, December 21st, 3 p.m. Thank you for tuning in. Happy home selling, happy home buying, and thank you all for your business, all our clients that are watching, our realtors, our staff, and I speak for all of us when I say we sincerely appreciate it.